Hi everyone, this is meteorologist Brian Bennett with an update on Hurricane Matthew for Tuesday, October 4th. Here's the official track for the National Hurricane Center. The storm will be rolling over eastern Cuba later today, through the Bahamas on Wednesday and early Thursday, scraping the east coast of Florida on Thursday and into Friday, and then possibly making landfall in northern Georgia or the Carolinas, most likely staying offshore of Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and also the tri-state area, possibly making a turn back to the northwest over Maine or Nova Scotia as we head towards next weekend. The red colors here represents hurricane warnings, obviously in effect for all the Bahamas. We have a hurricane watch in effect here in the pink from basically about West Palm Beach all the way up to about Cape Canaveral. We are going to see these hurricane watches and warnings continue to extend up farther north, but right now the Hurricane Center is waiting for the storm to progress a bit farther to the north before doing so. Alright, here's a look at the storm right now. It's a very symmetric, healthy looking storm. We don't have very much dry air or wind shear that's impacting the storm, so the only thing that's weakening it, if there is any weakening, would be the friction from Hispaniola and also Cuba. And I wouldn't be too surprised to see the storm actually be downgraded from a Cat 4 to a Cat 3 hurricane as we move into the next update from the National Hurricane Center. Now, 7 o'clock this morning, the center of circulation moved over southwestern Dominican Republic as a very strong Category 4 hurricane. This is a historic storm for Haiti, which again is right here. This is actually the first Category 4 hurricane that we've seen since Hurricane Cleo back in 1964. Now, right now, Haiti is seeing a ton of rain. They're experiencing mudslides that are washing out roads and bridges. So rough inland weather, rough along the coast as well with 10-foot storm surge, and obviously the wind to go along with it. Now, after this hurricane passes, the direct impact from the storm will be over, but the United Nations is concerned about, well, two things in particular. One, there are 60,000 pregnant women right now in Haiti, and any medical facilities that have been destroyed will basically not allow any medical or hospitals to help these women deliver the babies over the coming days or weeks or maybe even a month. So that is a concern. Also, with previous storms like this, cholera outbreak has been a huge concern. Haiti is a somewhat struggling socioeconomically country, so there are some health concerns that are going to exist well after the hurricane has passed through. Here's a look at the winds right now, very strong, blowing to the south over parts of Haiti. The storm's moving north. It's going to move into Cuba later this evening. The last pass of the National Hurricane Reconnaissance Aircraft showed a central pressure of 944 millibars, still a very strong hurricane. I wanted to take a look at the track of the storm real quick here. Again, the odds of a westerly moving hurricane that's going to move into the Gulf and slam into any of the Gulf states has been taken off the table. That's not really in the forecast here. The winds are not going to allow a westerly turn into the Gulf of Mexico. Tampa Bay is very fortunate not having to worry about the storm making a direct landfall in a city that is very prone to storm surge, so can rest a bit easier in Tampa Bay and Fort Myers and all the Gulf Coast areas. Now, the Bahamas will be experiencing very rough weather as this major hurricane moves across all the islands. Again, the red representing the hurricane warnings that are in effect. The hurricane also is going to move over Nassau, the busy tourist town with a lot of folks living there in the tourist industry as well. Winds right around 130 to 160 miles per hour possible as the storm moves in on early Thursday morning. Right now, it looks like the storm is going to go just north of the Miami area, which will mean more or less minimal impacts for the Miami downtown area. But of course, we'll have to watch out for the possibility of just a bit of a westerly turn. Otherwise, we're looking at a hurricane watch right now from about Boca Raton all the way up to about the Cape Canaveral area. Again, this watch will be extended north, but right now we're just looking at a watch because we're about 36 hours to 48 hours out from hurricane-like conditions. So the worst conditions will be occurring in central east Florida, so the central part of the state and eastern part of the state, which is basically, again, Melbourne, Port St. Lucie, West Palm Beach, The farther north you go, the worse the weather could potentially be due to the northwest movement of the hurricane, which includes coastal Jacksonville, and then eventually making landfall, it looks like, anywhere from Savannah all the way up to parts of the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Here's a look at the GFS model. This is the American model run. Here's Florida, here's the United States, and here's Matthew right here rolling through parts of Cuba and the Bahamas. As we move forward in time, you're going to notice that the storm actually starts to get very, very close to Florida, a little too close for comfort. If it goes any farther west, then we'll be dealing with a landfall of the hurricane. Otherwise, we're looking at the hurricane scraping the east coast of Florida and then possibly making a landfall in very northeastern Georgia or the Carolinas, and then going out northeast just a bit, looks like curving around the tri-state area of New York City, and then possibly curving northwest just a bit into Nova Scotia. That's the GFS model run, which is the American model. Here's a closer look of the GFS model. Again, let's fast forward in time here. This is Thursday morning and afternoon, and you'll notice that we have a very powerful hurricane only about, I'd say, about 100 miles offshore from land, and we're looking at winds gusting in West Palm Beach all the way up to parts of Fort Pierce, possibly around 60 miles per hour according to this GFS model run. And then as we move north, the hurricane continues to move off to the northwest as well. So rough weather for northeast coastal Florida, winds gusting anywhere from about 70 knots or so at the area beaches, which is around 80 miles per hour. So strong gust possible along all of our area beaches, especially north of the Miami area. Over here in Tampa Bay, you'll notice that winds are only gusting about 30 to 40 miles per hour, so very minimal impact for the Tampa Bay area based on the path that we're looking at right now. Again, then the storm continues to make a movement off to the north, so it could produce hurricane force winds all the way from basically Cape Canaveral up through Georgia and eventually the Carolinas as well. Here's a look at the European computer model, and it has a very good track record with previous storms. And let's actually rewind the model here back to the beginning, and you'll see that we're looking at the hurricane having a very similar path to what the GFS model is calling for, staying just off the eastern coast of Florida, very close to Georgia, possibly making landfall in the Carolinas as we move into next weekend, and then moving off to the northeast, maybe curving back northwest as an extratropical cyclone into the Nova Scotia area. Alright, here's the RPM model. This is a proprietary model issued by a private company up in Andover, Massachusetts called WSI. And the light blue color here, this represents a Cat 1 hurricane. Yellow is a Cat 2 hurricane, and the orangish color is a Cat 3, maybe even a Cat 4 hurricane. So we're looking at a Cat 3 hurricane offshore Florida as we move into Thursday and Friday, and the same thing as it starts to roll up towards parts of Georgia and the Carolinas. So very close to having a direct hit in Florida. Right now though, our three trusty models are keeping the hurricane offshore, and hopefully we'll continue to see that as we move through the next couple of days. Here's another look at the wind speeds. You'll see the hurricane moving to the northwest over the Bahamas, becoming very close to let me drop that, sorry about that, becoming very close to making landfall in Florida, but right now again remaining just offshore. Tampa Bay area seeing very minimal impacts from this storm. East coast of Florida could see winds gusting upwards of hurricane force, especially along area beaches, and then rapidly weakening and diminishing winds as you move farther inland away from the east coast beaches. Alright, what about rain? Here's a look at the precipitation models. This is basically a future radar, and you can see that we're looking at a few rain squalls moving from east to west prior to the hurricane moving onshore, moving across the state of Florida. But the heaviest rain looks like it's going to move in right around Cape Canaveral up to Daytona Beach, up to coastal Jacksonville, where we could see some flooding and some consistent very heavy rain bands moving in on the 7th and 8th of October, Thursday and into Friday, and then obviously deteriorating worse conditions as you move up into Georgia and the Carolinas. I did mention this yesterday. Deforestation has been a huge issue for parts of Haiti, In fact, take a look at this. 98% of the trees in Haiti have been chopped down. Here's the Dominican Republic right across this fence and this road, and you'll notice the difference there. Very poor land management in Haiti. No one really to blame per se. It is a country that's struggling somewhat from a socioeconomic standpoint, but nonetheless a lot of trees have been chopped down to help produce electricity and for other means. That is exasperating what is going on with mudslides and heavy rain. The trees prevent very helpful methods to help keep the soil from washing away, but this was taken this morning in Haiti, and look at all that muddy water washing down this valley. If any of that happens to exceed the banks here, then the towns that are surrounding that area could end up flooding, almost like a tsunami moving on shore, and that is a very, very dangerous scenario for the folks in Haiti. On a bit of a lighter note, did want to show you this, just in case you're interested. A lot of folks take cruises down to this area of the Caribbean, and you'll notice right now we don't have any ships right now around Haiti or Cuba or even up into the Bahamas. All the cruise ships and tanker ships are all hiding out in safe port east of the Dominican Republic or other safe areas, which they should be doing in this event. There should not be any cruise ships heading to the Bahamas over the next couple of days. Alright folks, that's a look at what's going on with Hurricane Matthew. I'll have another update tomorrow. If there is a question that I didn't answer, please let me know.